Hey, welcome back everyone to the Black Brain Trust. This is episode 217, Black Cultural Intelligence. Here my co-facilitator Lionel. Oh, actually, Ulysses. Sorry, what's going on, Complex?
Hey, what's going on, Mike? Yeah, I can see how, the confusion can happen, man. We're interchangeable.
Yeah. Please hit the like button as you come in. Share the video if possible. Document in the description beneath the video for you to follow along with. Um, and we'll give you guys about 90 seconds to come in. Let you guys dot your I's, cross your T's.
Pour your libations.
Oh yeah, burn some incense. Get your tambourines out.
Ashe, ashe.
My brother Paul Bryant is in the building.
Sir Paul.
Guten Abend, mein Bruder Michael. Wie geht es Ihnen? Alles gut? Good evening, my brother Mike. How are you doing? Is everything good? Ulysses, how are you?
Farfin, Farfinugan, brother. Farfinugan.
Farfig Nugan. Farfig Nugan to you too.
Atum.
Atum.
Atum. Mhm.
Ay, ay, ay. Was ist das? Atum. Ay, ay, ay.
So now I'm adding it to the list of languages to learn, man.
The funny thing is, right? Um, actually at a friend's house in Holland. So first time trip for me. Little quick hop on a plane, about an hour or so, and spend a few days, maybe the rest of the week, and just hang out. You know, um,
Nice.
I'm actually contemplating learning Dutch because we've kind of somewhat informally come to the opinion Dutch, I think, comes from German because when I listen to Dutch people speak, a lot of the words sound German, and a lot of the words are German in a Dutch accent, and a lot of the words sound similar. And
Mhm. It's a derival.
yeah, yeah, I really
It's a derivative. Yeah.
right. Yeah, that's that. I really think that, and I really think that the Dutch people come from the German people because I have coincidentally, or maybe not, on my mom's side, who is West Indian, but her great grandfather was born and raised in Holland, and he's Dutch German.
So it's kind of similar to like Spanish and Portuguese.
Not
No,
necessarily.
I'm
It's more.
like,
It's more in line with Dominican Republic, Spanish from the Dominican Republic versus Colombia. Like German would be
oh,
Colombian, and Dominican Republic would be more like Dutch. So there's
is that close?
dialects and things like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
that
dialects and
close.
things like that. Very interchangeable.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 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 because my friend, she speaks English, but the funny thing is, I can speak to her in German, and she can also somewhat speak. She can somewhat speak to me in Dutch, so it's funny. But yeah,
Hmm.
as far as the Spanish and the Portuguese thing, no, because Spanish is not Portuguese. They're two
Yes.
completely separate languages. Yeah, one does not derive from the other.
Hmm. Yeah, it's completely different.
Yeah.
The
Um.
the the pace is similar, but the vocabulary words and everything else are completely different.
Yeah. Totally. 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 I would liken it. I would also. I think that Mike's analogy was spot on. I would also liken it to French and Haitian Creole. Creole
Or
comes.
Portuguese. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
But
Haitian.
now I was just gonna say Portuguese and Cape Verdean Creole. Creole.
Okay. Yeah,
Oh wow.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. It's like one is a derivative of the other, so they're very close, they're very similar, but they're not the same. But if you come from Cape Verde, you can go to France and speak your native, and they'll know where you're from, but you will be clearly understood. Same as if you're Haitian and you've never actually been to France, you can go to France and speak Haitian Creole. They'll know where you're from, but you will be clearly understood. So it's a close derivative.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
All right.
so I yeah. Sorry.
Let me get started with the hangout. Let me just get started with the hangout. Um, hey, Q497, what's going on, brother? Rosie Ray's, how are you doing? But that's because in Q4 says I have met quite a few Brazilian women that say they have no trouble understanding Spanish speaking people. Um, colonialism had its had its way in Latin America or South America for that matter. So
Right.
they were forced into accepting a lot of languages that they need not use anywhere outside of their area of location. So go ahead,
Yeah. Like
Paul.
with because the Brazilians speak Portuguese. They don't speak Spanish, but so they're two separate languages. They're not derivative, but ultimately they both come from Latin, even though they're two separate languages. So yes, Spanish and Portuguese speakers can understand each other, but the words are different because I'm no longer fluent in Spanish. I was, but I can get by. I'm functional. It's like the level just below fluency. So when I hear Brazilians speak or even Portuguese speak, because I have another friend and she speaks fluent. Well, she speaks good English, but I can sometimes speak to her in Spanish, but she's Portuguese.
Hmm. Hmm. All right, let me get started with the docket and kind of just run down why we decided to have this hangout. Or at least I did. So I think the art of linguistics and the traveling man. A lot of black men don't necessarily travel, and the ones who do kind of have turned into a bit of a fraternity where you have to try to get into their circles to really understand what's going on. But I think in this day and age of globalization and the fourth industrial revolution and these emerging markets, you're going to have to become more international. So the first item on the docket is why should brothers become more international? It's just like I was saying before, fourth industrialization as well as as well as an emerging tech is contributing to why you need to be more international in your way of not just in your way of movement, but in the way how you think. You can't just think about your local black neighborhood. The Boys and Girls Club was a cool place to hang out at, but at some point you got to leave the block. You got to leave your zip code. I think Ice Cube was stuck in his area until he was deep into his 20s. He had never left the area, so until he got some money. So what I'm saying here is what we're going up against and what we're trying to get ourselves into integration wise into these markets, these emerging markets. You're going to need to expand out. So scaling out is a part of the process. Um, Paul Bryant, you have anything you want to add to this?
Yeah, absolutely. To basically echo everything that you said, especially when you're the the benefits of having exposure to other cultures. All right, it will
Hmm.
change and affect the way you view the world. All right, and it will also affect how you approach business. Okay, so if you know if your only interaction with another culture or another group of people is everything that you see in media. That can and will shape your perceptions. So when it comes to any and all interactions, especially business, you may be going in with a mindset and a chip on your shoulder and preconceptions based on things that you've seen in media. And we all know how false and distorting the media can be. So that can hurt and even potentially limit any potential business opportunities that you have, especially in this world. We live in a global world, and it has increasingly become more and more interconnected and closely woven. So, especially in business, if nothing else, all right, you really owe it to yourself to learn other cultures. And I'm not talking assimilation, okay, which is something that a certain group, and I'm going to contain myself, a certain group likes to rail about. It's not about assimilation, okay, but learning other cultures broadens your mind and has benefits across every aspect of your life, especially business.
I agree 100%. I always found that at the very minimum, you know, let's just say, for example, you're doing business with somebody in France. Greeting them, by greeting them in their native language, even if you're going to continue to communicate in English, greeting them in their native language is a sign of acknowledgement, right? For who they are and who it is that you're doing business with. And it also, as Paul was mentioning, it kind of points to the fact that you have some indication of who you're dealing with. That means being educated in other cultures. And again, it's not, you don't equate being globally conscious with being like assimilated to something. Like you can be you and still know about other people and places and things.
Exactly, so especially, given in certain certain cultures, when you're conducting business, it's all business, yes, but you know what? The human component is ever present. So when you take the time to be able to if nothing else, greet that person in their native language, okay, that alone sets you apart. And if there's one of the things that it took me several years to really understand the concept. At the end of the day, on a certain level, business is business. Okay, so anyone can do the business, but if you, as a person who is shopping around your business, it comes down to relationships. Okay, so if Ulysses is making widgets and I'm making widgets and Mike is making widgets, but I don't speak that language. Ulysses doesn't speak that language, but Mike does. Guess what? There's a very strong chance Mike is going to get that business because he speaks the language. So that creates a relationship on top of the business prerequisites coming in. Now, the rest obviously isn't incumbent upon him performing and meeting the parameters, obviously. But once you establish that relationship, so now you have that personal relationship on in addition to the business, you know what? You're head and shoulders above your competitors basically until you F things up.
All right. Um, Let me get to item number two. Um, so turning travel opportunities into business and solidarity opportunities on the ground. Um, Put this one on the docket because I think a lot of times Black people always want a vacation, for the fun aspect, and there's nothing wrong with that. But how do you leverage your travel time into and parlay it into business and solidarity on the ground? I do a lot of solidarity work on the ground myself with Palestinians and other ethnic groups who are oppressed. So my ability to interact with these people has opened up opportunities for me when I travel. If I want to go to the Middle East, if for whatever reason, if I want to go to Palestine, um, I got contacts over there that says there's a place for you to come sleep. No need for a hotel. No need for anything else. We got you. Same thing down in Venezuela. I got a contact down there as well that I've met recently. Anytime you want to come through, let me know. I got your back. We can talk. We can chop up game down there. So I say all that because yeah, you can vacation, but how much do you know about the people on the ground? How well are you connected with people on the ground? And can you turn those connections into business opportunities and do some solidarity work on the ground as well? So that's the reason why I put it on the docket. Paul Bryan, you have anything you want to add to that?
Yes, 100%. Owing from my time, coming from my time on the street, on Wall Street. That's what I mean. When I mean the street, you know, the managing director who I worked for, who was when I was training under him, he had several of the firm's clients over in Asia. So we went to Hong Kong a few times, and we went to actually went to China. Never been to Japan, but point is, even when you're traveling, he always told me, "Hey, look, listen. Always keep in mind this is business first. Even if we're even if we're on a beach somewhere or if we're at a hotel, at a pool and we're in swimming trunks, business first. Always conduct business and always be on the lookout for potential business opportunities because you never know who you may meet that may branch off of people that you're meeting here. So even if it's not business and you're like you said, you're on vacation, you never know who you may meet that can be a potential business partner. So it behooves you to cultivate any and all relationships that you make in a positive manner because you could very well end up doing business with that person down the road.
Hmm. Complex.
Yeah, it's that whole six degrees of separation thing, Mike, that we spoke to on a previous cultural intelligence hangout. It's kind of always operating with your head on a swivel. Being cognizant of your conversations, always being keen to what a person is telling you. Again, you may be speaking to someone, and just in a conversation in passing, they may just reference how they know somebody in Spain, for example. And this whole time, you've been looking for a direct link or a direct line to somebody who can, maybe set up some business channels with some potential clients there. So it's just to kind of reaffirm with what Paul and Mike is saying. Being able to be conscious of your conversations is very key.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. You'd be surprised, and Paul Bryan could probably co-sign some of the stuff I'm about to say. You'd be surprised how many people outside of the United States um, who may share similar phenotypes and melanation with us actually um, have a lot more in common with us than they do not. Um, Again, I do work with other groups on the ground, and the same problems that black people fought for in the 1960s. They're those groups are fighting to this very day for the very same issues. So a lot of times they want to pick your brain just to have a conversation, and that turns into different opportunities. Again, made some contacts in Singapore, made some contacts Vietnam as well. Anytime I want to come through Hanoi, I got a contact down there. They got a condo. I can just come there and crash like it's an Airbnb without paying. That's the sort of connections that are being made on the ground in real time. That's going to transfer into business opportunities later.
Yeah.
And then we have our brother Nagone. What's going on?
¿Cómo va? ¿Todo bem? How you guys doing, man?
Doing
Good.
well. What's
Good.
going on, big bro?
All right, man. All right, all right, all right. Just joining the conversation here. All right.
So, Nagon, just to bring you up to speed, the first item on the docket was why should brothers become more international? What's your take on that question?
I think it's critical. First of all, we've always been international. We've always been traveling around the world. That's been our experiences, literally from Africa to till today. I mean, that's a fact. If you start to even study even many of the European explorers, especially Amerigo Vespucci, that even found then this nation is born. I mean, this nation's name that was born is taking the name of Amerigo Vespucci. It's called we call it America. And he came over. Who did he have? Black mariners who were with him. African mariners were rolling right with him as well. They weren't slaves. They were men who were on the ships, traveling around the world, seeing things. I mean, this is something that we've always done, really through the times of the Crusades, straight up till present day. This is what we've always been. We've always been international. One of the things I think that's kind of hurt us in some respects, with respect to some of our social and economic experience in this world recently, has been the fact that we stepped away from the kind of the international the international connection, and we've tried to deal here more domestically, and we found that we've has to have some lost underneath that. You have to have even some respects, even advance here in this country, you have to have an international um, pressure and using other people from outside of this country to help bring pressure here inside this country. It's been very effective over the years, very effective. And that's something that we should consistently be involved with. So we should always be reaching out, dealing with international connections, being very international ourselves, being well traveled, um, being multilingual. These are immense strengths that you have, because now all of a sudden, the more people you have with you, the more people that work with you, the stronger you become. And that's why many of them discourage you. Many of the powers that be, if you will, discourage you from it. Forget about the ignorant Negro here who's in this country saying, I can't do it because maybe we have a few people in jail and we can't do this. Fair enough, you got a small number of people in jail, but many of us can do it. And that's something that we should be thinking about, and get them that
Mm.
kind of cultural mindset, because that makes you stronger. So I just want people to think about that. That's something that we have to think a lot more about, and a lot more time and effort into. And yes, and being multilingual, learning a second language, and being able to call another city your home as well as you have here, I think is inimical to what we would say gathering power. Okay, that's how you get. That's how you become more powerful. That would be it's a sine qua non, if you will. So that's my take on the subject, and that's kind of what I think. Uh, that's my view on it.
Uh, we got 20 something people watching. Only 16 likes. Please hit the like button if you're not going to participate in the chat. Paul Bryan, you were going to say something before I cut you off to bring Nagon in. You have anything you want to add to that?
Um,
You're
first
going to add?
off, first off, Nagon, respect. It's always a pleasure, sir. And I have to say, I always enjoy our interactions because I always find I always learn a different perspective, if nothing else. So it's always a pleasure.
Don't caché,
Uh,
man. Putting on.
my respects to you.
Don't caché.
And really, I think I was just going to basically, co-sign pretty much everything Mike has said so far. In the business world, it's all about relationships. It's all about the contacts that you make. So even when you are in a totally social situation, your mind is switched off. You're not even thinking about work. The way you carry yourself, the manner in which you speak, you never know the people who can then turn out into a business contact. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
and there are many opportunities that if you don't travel, you literally won't even be in the position to meet these people. So if you do not learn more than just your native language, you will not be able to communicate with these people in a social setting that could then turn into a potential business opportunity. So it behooves you to travel, to have your passport, to learn at least one or two other languages besides your native language. And the benefits, as they say, travel broadens the mind, learning languages broadens the mind, and it also leads to many business opportunities. Okay, and do not make the assumption. Do not limit yourself because, oh, I'm black, I'm from America, I can't go here, or I can't learn this. You know, my lifetime, I've learned 5 languages, including my native English. So, and seriously about to start learning yet another foreign language. So the world,
Mhm.
the only limitation is you.
Mhm. Going just to bring you up to speed again on the second item on the docket, it's turning travel opportunities into business and solidarity opportunities on the ground. What's your take on that?
I'm sorry. Repeat that again. I apologize. Please repeat that again, Michael. I'm sorry.
The second item on the docket is turning travel opportunities into business and solidarity opportunities on the ground.
Oh yeah, I'm all about that. I mean, I've seen that certainly. Just going to South America, Brazil especially. I call that very much my second home in so many ways. Made money there, bought property there. There's a lot of very strong business connections we can make there. They're waiting for you to really come down. There's a whole continent below you that is mineral wealth. Also, youth wealth as well. You have a lot of very young people who are very willing to get in and do a lot of, I mean, just a lot of energy. And you do have, a lot of opportunities that if you're willing to really open your mind and press forward, there's a lot of chances to do extremely well. I think internationally, we pool our resources and we kind of pool our markets, if you will. And we're large. One thing about Afro America, and when I say Afro America, North and South, we're a young population. The average age in the North American continent and South American continent, it's about 26 years of age. To really young people. So there's a huge amount of opportunity here for us to do a great deal. So yeah, so making these connections are critical, and I believe we are going to do that as more and more time goes by, and we start to think a little bit more and talk more about this. But we do have to travel. One thing the world's gotten to, you've got Facebook and you've got the internet with respect to Instagram and all that. So you do have these apps and so forth that are kind of bringing people a little bit closer together. You can begin to interact. I see some of the, like my grandson, he plays these games with Fortnite and he talks to people in Germany and everything else like that. So you do have a chance to really start to kind of come together. So that's there. We do have the opportunity. We have to press it forward. But as far as really putting business together and putting our minds together and putting our linguistics together and really um, becoming more synergistic. That is what I am all about. Um, you know, I'm all about that. That's what I am about. That's my stilo. That's what it's about. I've attempted to become multilingual. I think I've been fairly successful at it. There's some more languages I want to pick up that I can pick up relatively quickly, and that's my game. And I'm an older guy. Well, I see the younger people definitely see to this a lot more. Disturbs me a little bit looking at some of these millennials. They're not as traveled as they should be, especially in the black community. Um, and we really have to stress that. So that's something that I'm going to consistently stress at the whole time. So when I get up here, a lot of times you guys hear me saying things in Portuguese or in Spanish or whatever, and I don't want people to be jealous about that. I want people or get angry who this guy think he is. But this is something, a skill set I think we should push and we want people to pick up because it's only going to help us. It's not going to hurt us.
And real
Speaking of
quick, I
which,
also just wanted to follow up on that. There's a role that technology plays in this as well. Tools that enable us to easily learn languages learn them a lot faster than we used to learn them. And then also, there's also, you know, things like Google Translate, and I think Bing has a translation algorithm as well. You see, so even in like maybe like email communications, you know, we can easily, you know, take what it is that we need to communicate and translate it, you know, with you know tools that are tech-based tools that are like readily available to us. So there's a lot of tools that are actually like right at our hands that enable us to do this stuff.
Hmm.
Totally,
All right,
totally
let me
agree.
just get.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
No, it's all right. Just wanted to get to the next item on the docket, which is a quick one. It's in the link for you for your leisure. Basically, get your passport. Like it says on the web page, your U.S. passport is your ticket to the world. Leveraging your passport for other opportunities as well. That passport and being a black man actually holds a lot of power. Um, People see that three-piece suit, they see the suit and tie, fitted, looking swole, like the real ape you should be. You know, your mouthpiece is crisp. Your language is down packed.
Ah, claro que sí, amigo.
Look ill.
Ah,
Look
você está
ill.
falando era verdade todo o tempo. Isso. Gosto.
Hmm.
Fala, fala. Go ahead, man. Continue. Look at it.
Hmm. Yeah, I
Oh,
won't put my credentials in here. I
so
won't put my
there's.
credentials in here, but just give me a second, Paul
Yeah.
Brian. It, I won't put my credentials in here, but the passport site is very quick. 3 steps. Make sure you have if you got a real ID now, it's even quicker to get your passport. So you can either wait and pay the cheap price, or you can spend that. I think it's like 150 or something like that, and get it shipped quicker.
Yeah,
I say
or
spend the extra bucks.
I say
Go ahead.
for people who really want to get it quick, you can go right. Because one day I want to get my passport. I was going to South America. I was going to Brazil. I had to get my passport quickly, and I went straight to the passport office in Stamford, Connecticut. Drove there and went there and bang zoom knocked it out that day. So you can do that bad boy in a day. You can go right to your passport office and get that bad boy. So so there are a lot of ways to get lives with it, but you should have that standard blue passport. It's a beautiful document as well, and you should have it. You know, men who are thinking clearly out here. You don't have to be a guy who's got a PhD or anything else like that, but just anyone who's thinking clearly and wants and lives a little bit because you live life. You live life. You don't sit here. I mean, one of the things I say about women, guys talk about women all day long. We don't talk about women here on this channel, but I'll bring this up for a second. People talk about women and all of this. You'll see. You go to different cultures and societies, and you start looking at women, their culture, how people deal with it. You look and you see just what's going on over here, and it puts you in a different mindset. So I mean, it prepares you to deal with all aspects of life, and it's business and personal relationships and so forth. It's critical. It's critical that we travel. I mean, the gift of travel is something that we should really embrace. Bothers me to see people, who definitely, speak against it. I know we got a very parochial mindset, but we have to get out of that. But anyway, I could talk about this
Hmm.
for hours. Okay, Mike, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you said something about the passport office. Are you
Yeah.
talking about Homeland Security or?
No, 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 no. Just your passport office. Where you can get your passport. It should be there on your I don't know what city you're in or town you're in, but there's one who there's a passport office where you can go and get your passport that day. You can go and if you have your ID and everything together, you can go get your passport processed. You
Yeah.
know.
The only thing add on to that, Nagon. Outside of the major cities, New York, Boston, L.A., Miami. you know, Dallas. Outside of the major cities, there is only like I want to. There are very few of those offices around the country. For
Okay.
example, there is one in New York City. Then I know there's one way
Well,
up in Rhode Island. There's one way down in
well,
Maryland or VA, and then
the
there's the one
the
there's
one
the
in New
one that
York
you
is in
just
Stanford. The one in
spoke
New
of.
York is Stanford, Connecticut.
Oh, okay. Well,
The one in
see,
New York is Stanford.
okay. Well, I'll just say this. That's news. That's news to me because
Yeah.
I haven't, I haven't gone to that office honestly
Mm-hmm.
in 40 years. So
Mm-hmm.
the last time that I had to renew my passport, I just did it through the mail.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
but but you know, whether you go to the office yourself or you do it through the mail, you know, it it's mind-boggling to me how how many black men will basically stunt on each other for the the number of pairs of Air Jordan sneakers that they own, or that yeah they'll travel to DR to go and trip. But if I say, hey, listen, how about a trip to Thailand, or how about a trip to England, or to Germany, or to Spain, or to Portugal? Have you been to the Maldives? Have you been to Madagascar? They look at you like, what? What are you talking about? You know, so you know that limited mindset, living inside of that black box. You have to get out of that black box. There is an entire world out there that you do not know exists because you're stuck in this tiny little constricting box.
One thing I'm saying is this: bought an apartment, Rio, been renting that bad boy out since 2003. Just the business there alone, made close to $1 million on that. It is what it is. I live this shit. I don't speak Portuguese just for the fuck of it. It's fun, and I've definitely engaged with some of the livest human females that exist within our species. That's for damn sure. But
Hey,
but but
friends. You met friends.
oh oh oh
Got to
oh
keep it PG.
no, I'm keeping it real. That's for damn sure. But but as far as making money and doing all that, Bank of Brazil and all that, was some of the livest, most gangster shit ever. It should make it. I won't say whatever you may say, but this should get this should get you live. It's live. So I've had that experience. I wish folks could just have lived that with me because it was awesome. And I died tonight. I'd have said, "Been a pretty good run, old boy. Pretty good run." So 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 I'll just leave it at that. I'm just gonna say that those kind of experiences, make you different. Got my son getting out of this. Well, he was in Germany last year, and
Mm.
trying to get him going to South America with me this year, and you know, get a grand and roll with me as well. And that's it, man. This travel game is where it's at. Business, pleasure, it's all there. It's all there. So we should actively be pursuing this, but economically and politically, it's critical for our prevalence.
Hmm. I wanted to go over this real quick because this was on the passport side. And I forgot to mention it. It says uh, pose and expression have a neutral facial expression or natural smile with both eyes open.
Oh, you mean not a
So all you guys, it's all you guys running around with your ice grills and your gold teeth in your mouth and your, you know, in your black lips and in your you know,
Jesus Christ.
Drake's cakes and fried chicken skins?
yeah,
Oh my gosh.
Mean mugging all the time?
tough guy. Yeah, tough guy. Walk with a limp. Yeah, that's not
Smile for
gonna
the
work for
camera.
yeah.
Turn left, turn right.
Hmm. Hmm. Yep, taken in clothing normally worn on a daily basis. So that means make sure your shirt is at least ironed, bro.
Collared even.
Collared.
Yeah.
Yes,
Whoa.
collars.
Bro, most cities
Yeah,
do.
you know, one of those things that kind of goes around the neck, it's attached to the shirt.
You know what? Listen, we
That's
laugh.
buttons attached to it.
Listen, we laugh and we will make jokes all day and all night. But at the end of the day, the people who we're
Hmm.
speaking to who have the ears to listen are not the ones with the saggy pants and the hoodies and never wear a collar. And if they do, their idea of dressing up is wearing clogs with khakis with an oversized shirt barely tucked in but still puffed out and hanging over. Okay, that's not the target audience who we're speaking to or who have the ears to listen to this. So they're lost in the sauce. Their idea of travel is going to DR to go and trick and come back. That's it.
Hey, listen,
Yeah.
if you want to trick, go ahead. I ain't gonna lie.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
listen,
I'm not mad at you. I'm not
got
mad at you,
tricking. You want
man.
to trick? Go ahead, trick, baby. But at the end of the day, pick some other stuff up as well. I was talking to this one brother. Yeah, well, I'm Brazil, but yeah, man, my game is live, man. My game's live. You speak Portuguese? Nah, man, but I got so I'm on point.
Mm,
No, you're not on point.
Hmm.
you're
You
really not.
don't. Thou shalt speak Portuguese if you're really going to get live with, let's say, some of the ladies that you really want to meet down there. If you want to run with the putaria, the hoes, yeah, okay,
Mm,
that's fair enough. But if
right.
you want to, if you want a decent woman, you don't have Portuguese spit game, you lose. You're out. But you can't tell people this. They think they know. But that's
Hmm.
takes work. It does. That's the only issue about this. What some people don't like. It does take a little bit of work. It does take a little bit of work. To beat a joint, to beat a live, it takes a little work. It does.
Bro, can you imagine what it is on a day-to-day basis to just walk around the city of Cologne in everyday normal social settings to clearly be American but yet speak fluent German? I mean, come on. It's as you just said, you know what? We're talking high levels of the game. It's on all aspects, social, business, all around, which comes back to the very first item that Mike posted on this evening's docket. Okay. If you're going to travel, it behooves you to learn another language so you can interact socially as well as on a business level. So whether it's business or socially, if you speak the language, you're going to go much farther.
You're going to get into circles that you would have never have been, that you would not have interest. You know,
100%.
you wouldn't be able to
100%.
enter in before. And just like in Colombia, let's say you want to go to Colombia. Well, I'm going to Colombia, man. I'm meeting a man down there. No, you ain't. You may meet some chick who's going to look, get your money and maybe tell you how to frame a little bit. But if you got to speak Spanish, and when you want to hang out in the club game and hang out, it is critical that you learn how to salsa dance.
Mm.
Lanzano la salsa. Muy importante. That's very important. Salsa, it's another level of communication.
Well, well, it also says right here. It says have someone else take your photo. No selfies. Um, so these guys, want to run around, with your number one football dad jersey on, little shirt on. That ain't the business, man. Use a clear image of your face. Do not use filters commonly used on social media. So all you tough guys with your little flowers and stuff around your head, man, them little filters, man,
Or the
that's not
eyeglasses
the
and
business.
rosy cheeks.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Also, one last thing I would like to add. If you take the traditional route, okay, you're going to go to the post office, you're going to get the application, you're going to go to a Walgreens or whatever local pharmacy is in your area. They're going to take the two small photographs. You should already have your original birth certificate in hand as well as your social security card in hand. They want the originals, not the copies. You take those, you fill out the form, you enclose the 2 photos, you purchase a postal money order right from the post office, put it in the envelope, and because you're mailing it from the post office to the State Department, there's no postage. They will mail it off to you. The website says 6 to 8 weeks. I'm telling you right now, the traditional route, your passport will be on your door in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, 3 tops, but more than likely anywhere from 13 to 15 days. I promise you, it's that quick. And you
Yeah.
have your passport. So now, for those who complain, I don't have the funds, I don't have the travel. Look, listen, the money you spend on a pair of Jordans, save the money. Every week, allot a certain amount of money on a weekly basis, save it away. You have credit cards, and instead of running up your Pornhub account bill, plan out for your Airbnb. Purchase your airfare 3 to 6 months in advance. So by the time you're ready to go, your lodging is paid for, your airfare is paid for. Priceline or Orbitz continually offer great packages. The further out you plan your trip, you're going to save on your lodging and on your airfare, and you should also have a nice little piece of change for pocket money when you go traveling.
Yeah. I mean, it's all prepared. I remember the first time we went down to South Am, and I was rolling with my boy Dave, and he sat down and said, "God, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set aside. We're gonna set aside a little account. We're gonna put a little money away every week or whatever, and we're gonna make sure we have enough X, Y, Z to do whatever we have." About a month and a half, we had everything together. We were caked up. We had our game going right, and we had our hotel. We also had a separate apartment. We were balling,
Mhm.
and it was great, and it was just, I hadn't been, Brazil like that some years ago, and we hit it. I had been to Spain and all that, so I knew Spanish. I didn't know Portuguese, but after, needless to say, after I was down there the first time, when I came back, I immediately went to my professor. One of the smoothest brother I met, a guy by the name of Wilson Loria, sat down. He's right there on 53rd Street between 6th and 7th. He had his little school there. And I sat there 2 days a week for $150 damn the program. It's kind of expensive. But I sat down there with him, and we did a program text and a conversational class with formalized Portuguese study. And within about 90 days, I was camera ready. So that's just kind of how that was, and I stayed with him for the whole year because I wanted to get lives with it. But that's what it took. Formalized class, sat down in the classroom.
So the next time you went back to Brazil and your friends heard you speaking their native language, I'm sure they were very teethy.
Oh, they were teethy. And people at the airport, like I was there talking to people there, and I was in the airport and stuff, and just talking to people. And we landed. All of a sudden, I was like, blah, blah. People were looking at me like, "What's this? What? How this happen?" Now, I did have Spanish as a. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This call come through. I did have Spanish as an advantage. So it gave me, a really good way of being able to. I'm sorry. It gave me a good way of being able to pick the language up quickly. Just like I can pick Italian up and this kind of stuff up very easily now because the languages are very similar. Like along with French as well. They're Romance languages, but that gave me an advantage. That's why I was able to get up on it quick. And hey, but you can pick languages up. People tell you can't, you can, and the only thing you have to do is just practice it. And there's a lot of apps out here right now to really help you with it.
Hey, there's a question in the chat for you, for everybody on the panel. Yeah, what's up? He asks, how quickest way to establish survival level if deployed abroad?
Survival levels having language skills, knowing what's up. That's your survival level.
Yeah, what's up?
Having language skills. knowing what's up as far as how people speak. That gives you a lot of survival skills because people will let you know a lot of information. And I will also say it's a defensive. If somebody, let's say, if somebody's planning to rob you and they're sitting around, don't think you know what they're talking about, and you now all of a sudden hear that they may be planning to do some funky shit to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it definitely comes down to when it starts with knowing the language on the ground.
Yeah.
You can pick up the idiosyncrasies of the culture much faster if you already understand the language. So if a person is already there, I'm like, personally, I would not recommend full immersion into a foreign nation without learning the language first. But if for whatever unforeseen or unknown reason you are there, make it your business to learn the language yesterday, because your survival skills literally stem from your ability to know what people around you are saying. Because if people can speak to your face and they know you don't know what they're saying, you're done. Stick a fork in you.
And people take you more seriously at that stage. When I say more seriously, like, all right, this guy ain't gonna be a mark. This individual has come here and has learned, picked some stuff up. And, hey, listen,
Right.
this guy knows what's going on. So, yeah, that's a big part of it. To really get live internationally, it takes a little bit of work. A little bit of work. It should be fun. Everybody wants to take a magic
Yes.
pill. It don't work that way.
Yeah. Fourth item on the docket is applying for visas. Have any of you brothers ever applied for a visa? Or know anyone who's applied for a visa? What's the process? What is it?
Yeah,
What's involved?
I can tell you the visa process quite well. In order for you to get a visa, you have to go to that in your city or where they have a consulate office. You have to go there, fill out a full application for your visa there, and state your purpose. Either it'll be for tourism or it could be for business. And if you're trying to get a business visa, which you can get depending on what country you're going to, that's probably going to take a little bit more time for them to process you. But a tourist visa is pretty easy to get. You just go there, you fill out your application, you wait, you pay a fee for that. That fee is probably anywhere from $75 to $100 for the fee for that for that visa application. Um, you present that to the inspectors there. They'll look at your documents. They'll look at you. They'll ask you some basic questions as to what your intentions are, what are you looking to do, and so forth. And you'll just answer some very basic, simple questions. And what they'll do is they'll stamp your passport, and it'll say visa there. And that visa will be good for they may do a short-term visa that may only be for 90 days, or they could give you a long-term visa for either 5 years or a longer visa for 10 years. So you have to look at what the visa process is for that specific country you're going to that you need to get a visa with. But if you're an American, you get visas pretty easily around the world. Some people from other countries have a more difficult time, but that blue passport is like gold. So you will get a visa. China, anywhere else, wherever you have to go, you'll get a visa pretty easily. You just have to go through the application process there at the consulate office there. That's in your city, or it could be at a passport office, and they may have consulate offices there as well. But you have to go to the consulate to get that visa. So you have to find out where that consulate office is, make an appointment. Some you can walk in. Some you can walk in if you come in by a certain time. Some you may have to make an appointment to call the consulate office, say that you're coming in to go for a visa. And they'll say they'll give you a visa interview. It's just ask you a couple of questions, and they'll stamp your visa there, and you have to pay a fee. You may have to as I said, make an appointment. You may have to do that depending on what country it might be. Some may have open times where first come first serve kind of deal could be, but it's better off to kind of call that consulate office first, find out where that is, what country that you're going to, find out where that consulate office is, go there, make the visa application, pay for it, and get your visa that way. That's basically the process. So it's not very difficult to get a visa either.
My experience has been different from what the Golan just laid out, because my experience was actually working overseas in several countries. So it depends on the specific country in question. Most are going to require you that you have to have a job on the ground waiting for you. So that employer has to sponsor you. So that employer will issue you a offer of employment letter stating the length of time of your employment, how you're going to be paid, the length of time you're going to be paid, the frequency of your payments. It'll be on official letterhead, and depending on the country, either that country's immigration, when you land at the airport, they will issue the visa then, or they will issue it to you through the mail. Again, depends on the nation. Now, again, I'm speaking differently from what Nagon said. I'm speaking specifically on working visas.
Yeah,
The days
that's
of
a different
you
process.
just going there and just, oh, I'm just here now, I'm going to look for a job, that's going to pretty much land you getting deported from that country immediately.
Well,
Now, another experience.
hold on a second. I just want to say, if you're
Yeah,
going for tourism purposes, I'm talking
right,
more for tourist visa, and
right,
that's what we're talking about. But as far as a working visa,
right.
and that's a different process.
Right, right.
Mm.
That's why I so what I'm
Yep,
speaking of is
yep,
a work visa,
yep, yep,
not the same thing Nagon spoke on. I won't
yep.
even
Yep.
follow up on what Nagon spoke on. He covered it from soup to nuts. So if you're looking at a work visa, even for countries such as Canada, England, France, Germany, our closest so-called allies, you must have a job waiting for you. You cannot go there with the intention of finding work. If that's your case, you will get deported immediately. And most of those nations, you will not be allowed entry into the country for any reason for 2 to 5 years, depending on the country. Now, if, however reason, you end up getting a government employment as a civilian contractor directly for the government or for the DoD, obviously they're going to handle everything. And then it depends on whether there was an NDA involved. That I can't speak about for obvious reasons. But if it's not an NDA involved, it depends if it's government or military. If it's military, they're going to handle everything. They're going to fly you to the base. You're going to stay on the base. They're going to transport you back and forth to where you're going to work. If there is an NDA involved, nah, I'm not supposed to talk about that. But so working visas, understand this, they're much harder to get, much more involved, but don't let that discourage you. If you have your job in hand, the employer will already have taken care of everything for you, because they understand that you're not native to that nation that they're bringing you to for your employment. So I think between my answer from the work side and from Nagon's answer from the leisure travel side, we pretty much covered covered that question.
Yep. Yeah, it's good both sides. Yeah, because work visas, they're taken differently. There's a different kind of process in there. It's much more of a serious deal because now you're
Ooh,
you're
the
working for
hoops are
yeah,
endless. You wouldn't
yeah,
believe the hoops. I mean, you
yeah.
have you have to get you have to get a copy of your FBI fingerprint record. Assuming you don't already have one. And then once you get that, you have to have that in hand. You have to get a copy of your arrest record, if you have any. That has to be forwarded with the copies of your identification. And this is all part of the process for getting your international work visa. So the hoops are ridiculous. So basically, if you do not have a job waiting for you, do not even apply for a work visa. You just assume it's not going to happen for you. I mean, you can if you want to wait the 24 months from when you begin the process, but you know, Hello?
Yeah, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh,
Sorry.
oh,
Yeah,
sorry, I was on
yeah,
mute. I was on mute. Yeah, I was on mute. Sorry,
yeah.
I was
So was I.
talking in the background. Didn't you? Yeah. You had something to say, Complex? Go right ahead.
Actually, I'm muted for the moment. I got a call and I had to go make a run, some job stuff. So I'm just listening in at the moment.
All right. All right. So the next item on the docket is why picking up a second language
Hello?
benefits brothers. I think we've already covered that initially in the first half of the hangout, or at least in the beginning um, items of the hangout. We've kind of covered why a second language actually benefits you. Um, so we'll skip to the next one. Nagone spoke to the fact that he paid a professor to learn how to speak the language of Portuguese. How did you learn, Paul, to speak German?
That was a that was an interesting process. On one of my travels when I was working for the government as a civilian contractor, one of my stopovers was in Frankfurt, and I said, "Hey, I've been wanting to go to the Nurburgring since I was a little boy, and here it is. I'm in Germany, but I'm only passing through." So my next rotation off of work, I asked the company to fly me to Cologne and leave me there, and I had arranged lodging there. So I stayed in Cologne, got a car, rented it, drove to the ring, and did that back and forth. So I started to pick up a few words and a few phrases. So when I got back home, um, I started watching videos on YouTube, and eventually I found um, Duolingo, and that was great. That app is wonderful. But I took a class. So the class was 2 hours a night, once a week for 10 weeks straight, and um, the instructor has you speaking German from the first night. So from the first night, I was like, ich ich bin Name Paul. Guten Abend, alles gut, the basics. So at the end of the 10 weeks, you're already functional. You're not fluent, but you're already functional. And then there are higher levels, and there's a second and a third level. So um, I purchased German children's books. Now it sounds crazy, but
Hmm.
children learn a language, as humans, we learn the same language the same way, whether we're a child or an
That's
or an
right.
adult. So I bought German children's books and read them. I watched videos. I would watch the nightly news in German language. I would watch DW. They also have a German feed in addition to the English feed. I would watch sitcoms. I would watch dramas. I would watch movies. So I try to immerse myself as much as possible. So it took me about 3 to 4 months, and I became fluent. So it also helped that I was also traveling to the ring, and I was also traveling to Berlin, to Frankfurt, to Dusseldorf, to Hamburg, to Cologne, to Bonn. So being there plus immersing myself, I became fluent. See, I wanted it, so I made it happen.
Yeah, and that's the bottom line. He's hitting it right in the head. You have to want it. You have to put the time in. There are different levels. Like you learn, definitely with kids' books, definitely helps. Then when you get to the upper levels, you have to learn. Like one thing I've learned about with Spanish and also with Portuguese and so forth is you have your basic tenses, but they have more tenses. You have your basic tense, present tense, and you have your past tense. Then you have your preterite tense, if you will. You have your pluperfect, or you have your subjunctive tenses and so forth. I would like, or I wish I could see this, and how if I could do this, and so forth. You know, there's a whole lot of different ways. You have to be able to pick those tenses up and understand how those conjugations work. So that's why I wanted a formalized study because as I did with Spanish, I learned that very well. I feel, you get with somebody who's formal, you learn how to write it so you can read it as well as speak it. And what I found with Portuguese was very interesting was different. They have a written tense different from the spoken tense. So you learn a lot of different things, and you become a lot more sophisticated in these languages as you study. But it takes. I'm still learning Portuguese if you want to lay it out there. But at the end of the day, I can get my ideas across. So the name of the game is you definitely have to get some baseline formalized study because it'll help you. It'll just help you. And for those who are more scholarly, the better you'll do. But for those who want to pick it up quickly, and maybe don't want to spend a lot of time learning deeply, you can get the basics and really learn the basics pretty quickly. Because if you learn the basics and you can get your ideas across, you will be able to certainly communicate as well. So there's a lot of ways. Some people say they're fluent, aren't, but those who are fluent, are going to speak to other people in that tongue on a regular and consistent basis. You have to practice it with other people, and then you will pick up more words, more idiomatic phrases and tenses, expressions, more idiomatic expressions and so forth that way. And then you really will become what I call really fluent, and then you can do certain things because like Spanish or Portuguese or anything else like that, people will like somebody will call somebody Jose, but really when you start talking to people, you call them Ze. Then you'll be cutting words in half and stuff like that, and and really really get live with it. Flows a little bit differently. But anyway, so that's one who's really getting into it. But to really become really fluent, you have to practice and talk to other people who are native in that.
Yeah,
tongue.
I was going to say the same exact thing. You have to speak it. You absolutely have to speak the language, even after you learn it, or you feel you have attained a certain level of proficiency. You have to speak it on a daily basis. So,
And one other thing.
yes.
When you start to dream in the language, that's when you're fluent. When you really fluent, when you have dreams and you're dreaming in that language, you butter late. Trust me when I tell you.
Bro, do you? Because I found this. I would be speaking to someone in English. I would forget the word. Like I would think it in German. I'd be like, yo, what the hell? I've been speaking English my whole life, but I'm for some reason I'm thinking in my brain. It's thinking in German. So it's crazy. So it's like there are levels as you go where you become just more and more suitably proficient in the language that you're trying to learn.
But as the brain consolidates it, as it consolidates this language, it will dream in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned. I started learning German by reading Volkswagen, Audi, Bentley manuals.
Achtung, rechts, links.
Achtung, baby.
Hey, do I have a lot of noise? Do I have a lot of noise? Can you guys hear me okay, or is it too much noise?
And what are you in a tornado or something, brother? What's going on?
It's hot, dude. Today's like the first day over 100 degrees, man. I got the windows down, man. It's hot. I'm on the freeway right now.
Go back on mute, brother. Go on mute.
All right.
The AC don't let you know, huh?
I'm not sure if he's hang gliding or free falling out of a plane, bungee jumping, or what. Damn. That's how I kind of picked up on some of the terms and definitions in German, even though I had no interest in that. But I've always wanted to learn how to speak Swahili. That's always been like on the list of languages to learn.
Interesting. I'm not, let me say right up front, I am not fluent, but for reasons that we'll not go into right now, I'm learning Yoruba, which is one of the languages from Nigeria. So I'll just leave that right there.
Yeah, for some of these guys who are listening, that's a Nigerian language and dialect as well, right?
No, it's a separate, distinct language.
Okay.
The Yoruba people are from Nigeria, yes, but it's not a
Yep.
dialect. It is a separate, unique language.
Yeah, I know some people might think, you say Yoruba, they might think you might be talking about a new pair of Yeezys or something like that.
Like,
Oh
All right,
man.
let me let me get to the next items on the docket. So sixth item on the docket is basically like Paul Bryant was mentioning some of the applications that you can download to your phone, like Babel or Babel, however you want to pronounce it. Um, they all have their own sort of pros and cons and stuff like that. But either way, you're investing into yourself. You've already paid for your passport. You already got your real ID domestically. You already got your suit game up and everything else. Why not spend a few bucks on an application that's going to help you sharpen up your tongue?
yep.
Um, my understanding of Babel is that it's for on the go, learning the languages, things of that nature. So that's something you take with you on the go. Uh, Duolingo is more geared around less. It's less academic, so it's more trying to teach you the culture with the language. And Rosetta Stone is more academic. It's trying to teach you structure and things of that nature. That may be different for it may work differently for different people. Some people do like the structure of Rosetta Stone. I've always been a big Rosetta Stone fan because that was the first app, right? It really was nothing else
Great.
available at the time.
It's great.
Mm,
Rosetta Stone is great.
mm,
It's great. I use it as well. Great.
cool.
Um, I think there's a question in the chat with me. Somebody asked, "Did I learn Portuguese in Brazil or here?" I started to approach the language in Brazil, but I really fine tuned it and really got live with it here in the United States with formalized study with a Brazilian Portuguese speaker teacher, my professor Wilson Loria, a brilliant man. And that's that's how I really picked it up, and it made it really fun, and I had a nice program text to work with it, and he was great. He was a great teacher. So I had a formalized mass today, and then I learned it. I picked it up, and then I actively practiced it, and and as I had a few girlfriends there, you know you learn from the women as well.
Friends, friends.
They'll teach you, well, lady friends,
Right.
lady friends,
There
and
you go.
they were they were very
Very,
they
they
were
were very friendly,
very
very
and
teethy.
no, they're very helpful.
Oh yes,
Very,
very
very,
helpful, very helpful.
they're very helpful. Anyway,
Um, me personally, my experience. Honestly, I never actually used Rosetta Stone myself. I just never got around to it. Um, I used, like I said, I used Duolingo and a lot of YouTube and a lot of children's books, a lot of videos, a lot of immersion as much as possible, and also traveling back and forth and spending time. So I would say find and use what works for you. Um, I cannot speak to. Oh well, let me speak to German since you asked your ask was about German. Um, Old High German has been standardized as the official language of the country for about 20 or 30 years now. So there are certain words that people think about that they would assume, like the word Fräulein. You'll never hear anyone under the age of say 70 use that word. It's Frau. Okay, so there are many words that we associated from media that you will never hear German people speak. Then also, Austria. is part of the former German Empire. So they speak the same language, but some of the words are different. The accent is different. Also within the country, accents are different. So there are some idioms and some customs that are different. So, my focus was always more on conversational. And within German, there every everything that you say, almost every word or almost sentence or every phrase, there's a
Hmm.
formal and the informal. I learned the formal way. That way, you can never go wrong with learning formal German. So it carries over for business relationships and casual. So you will never go wrong learning that. So over time, as a non-native speaker, you can learn the informal. So actually, residing um, in Germany now, it's a case of learning a bit more of the informal, but the formal is what it is. So you'll never go wrong with that.
Yeah, totally agree with that because everybody understands that. When you start getting into the slang and the other kind of stuff like that, that's at another side of the game. But to get your ideas across and to really be able to basically and fundamentally communicate and understand a lot of what's going on, the formal game is how you go. Same with Portuguese. Somebody made a comment that the Portuguese you speak in Mozambique and the Portuguese that they speak, let's say in Brazil or Portugal or other places. Yeah, they're all gonna be a little bit different. They're all gonna be a little bit different, but fundamentally, the baseline of the game is the same. The accents are going to be different, and some of the words and some of the expressions are going to be a little different. Like in Mozambique, um, there's you have the Ranga dialect, the Ranga, which is an African kind of patois, and it's mixed with Portuguese. And there's a beautiful song called um, that's done by Wazimbo called Narala Hala, and it's a wonderful song and some of the finest music that's come off the continent. Um, but by Wazimbo, if anybody wants to take a listen to that, and it's wonderful, beautiful tune, beautiful tune.
Is that
Um,
is that con doble?
Condoble, no,
Okay.
no. Um, but you guys could pull it up, Nawala Holla. You guys will see that. Take a look on YouTube because it's here and it's in the artist's name is Wazimbo, and it's Mozambique. They speak Portuguese there, but they have a patois that they have that's different. So that would be it is different. You're not going to really understand that the Anga. You're not going to understand that unless you know that that very specific dialect. But basic Portuguese in Mozambique is spoken. You know, so in all the Lusophone countries in Angola, I was there, they speak Portuguese there, and it's there. I know the language. Was able to get along quite well. There in the airport, speaking to a woman from Angola. And then I met a young lady from there, and I went over to see her from Brazil. And yeah, here I am, an American, speaking Portuguese, nothing else, and she didn't speak any English at all. And but yet, she did speak Portuguese that's spoken on the continent. So and we were able to have a conversation. So yeah, so things are different. It's just like English here to English in England. If you talk to a Cockney, somebody with the Cockney accent, you gonna have a hard time. You gonna have a hard time understanding some of what they're saying. It's just kind of just how it is. Or somebody from Brooklyn, talking the way they talk, and use guys and and all this kind of stuff. Some people may not understand that either. So it is what it
I,
is.
I, I wish we had I wish we had MOT on the panel so we can ask him if he knows how to speak reptilian.
Oh man, we're gonna get some thumbs down for that as well. But anyway,
Oh, you know,
All
I'm
right, all right, go ahead.
I'm seeing. No, you know what? No, I'm done. I don't even want to address it. Go ahead, Mike. I'm good.
No, I was just gonna say, you guys don't have a preference on Duolingo versus Rosetta Stone?
Me personally, I don't have a preference. One, I've never actually used Rosetta Stone. I would just say to anyone, use what works for you. At the end of the day, you have to find something that works for you. All right. So I know for me personally, immersion works. I need to see it. I need to hear it. I need to experience it. I need to write it. I need to speak it. I need to see it. I need to read it. I need as much. I need total immersion all the way around. Hear it, um, listen to it going to bed at night, watch it, um, songs. That works for me. So as a person, find what works for you. Whatever your learning method is, do what works for you, and you have to put in the work. It's work. All right. You didn't realize it was work growing up because you were immersed. You had total immersion. So unless you live on the ground in a foreign country, you don't have total immersion. So you're going to try to immerse as much as possible. But find a method that works for you and put in the work. It's not a quick, fast, and easy thing.
I think it can. Some people actually have a knack for languages, don't even know it until they start to study it.
Mm.
If
So
you if you can code, yeah, if you can write code, you're usually pretty good in another language too.
yeah, if you can code, or if you're halfway decent math skills, same kind of parts of
Oh
the
yeah,
brain. Even though you have the Wernicke and Broca's area of the brain that deals specifically with language, but they're very similar to your reasoning center. So it's very similar. But when we
Nagone,
start,
that is a great point you just made, bro.
yeah, yeah, because I understand. I like this language game. I like it. I have aptitude for it. But I'm also going to say, as far as really learning the apps, I think the Rosetta Stone is very good. Why I think Rosetta Stone is very good is because not only does it take you through the basics, but it makes you repeat what you're learning, and and then you'll hear the Rosetta Stone as it says a sentence. It'll say it, and you'll hear how it sounds, and then you'll repeat. And so I think it gets to the fundamental. It gets down to the fundamental practice of learning a language, and it makes it kind of simple. It doesn't try to make it too complex for you. So some teachers are rigorous, and they're going to try to get in there with rigor and make it all hard. So
Hello?
you can make it can be very easy. Can you hear me?
I think Paul might be having connectivity issues over there.
Oh, okay.
You
But
there?
anyway,
Hey, hello?
yeah, we're here.
Yeah,
But
sorry.
but but, but
Yeah,
Rosetta Stone is I think that's my preference. But there's a lot of other good stuff that's out there. But I would say for those who really do want to get into that, definitely look into that. And then look into others as well. But Rosetta Stone I think is very good, very good.
You made an excellent point because I learned I learned French in junior high school, and I had an easy time with it. Learning Spanish in high school was a bitch. Learning Spanish from my second wife was a bitch. German, bro, I picked it up like it was English for
Yeah, well,
me.
German is similar. It's similar to English anyway.
You know what though? I don't find it to be so. Like some words are, but a lot aren't. Most aren't. But
I think I think the sentence structure and how it's broken down. I think the sentence structure and syntax are very similar.
you know what? I would agree with you unless you're speaking in the negative, because if you're speaking in the negative, there's always two ways to say it. So then the syntax changes, but then it's up to you to
Mm.
the negative usage that you want to use, but you have to remember that for everything. But hey, listen, it is. I say this. You know what? For me personally, I picked it up very easily.
Mm. Mm. And it's in Spanish. I think it's Spanish for me, as far as I'm concerned, and it's probably the easiest foreign language you can learn because
Mm.
how it's written is how it sounds. Um, it's very, very, very. I'd say they make it very simplistic. So people, they kick it off. They talk. Spanish can be spoken very quickly, but I think to learn it, it's fairly easy to learn. I think it's a fairly easy language to pick up. 200 hours, 200 hours, you're good. Portuguese, 300 hours, you're good. Something like Chinese or something else like that, we have a lot of, symbols and stuff you have to really pick up and learn how to write and all that, and getting into it. I think, that's going to take you, maybe 2,000 or 3,000 hours.
4,500 hours.
As it says, 4,500 hours, yeah. It would be somewhere in that range. But Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, and these things, 300 hours. 300 hours, you're good. You're rolling. And just break that out in a 24-hour, over a 24-hour period, how many days you're looking at really studying that. It's not that long. So it's just putting in some time. That's all. Just putting in your time. Put your time in. Put a little time in.
Yeah, most of my compadres who speak a second language, man, they also work as interpreters on the side, so they make pretty good, pretty just decent living. With a pager on their hip, man, and they get paid, from on the weekends and to come do language interpretation at hospitals and other venues. So
Funny you say that.
Yeah, it's great.
A friend of mine looked. Excuse me. A friend of mine told me to look into teaching English to German students, and I said, "What? How does that even work?" I said, "No, no, they, yeah, absolutely." He said, "You don't even need to speak German, but since you do, you're like a shoo-in." And I'm like, you know what? I've thought about it, but really, the move here for me has just been to just get away, to just travel 24/7, race, travel 24/7, enjoy life outside of America. So I'm kind of like, do I really want to work? But I don't know. It's possible.
mhm. But yeah, they make maybe about $75 to $80 an hour. So they're pretty good with it.
And if
Because
you
it's an interpreter thing.
exactly, if you go to another country, I had a friend who went to Brazil and he opened up a language school.
Mm.
And this guy was pretty much a knucklehead, but but at the end of the day, he said, "Hey, I'm going to teach people English." And and he was an interpreter because it was funny. Just you go in Brazil. I remember I was way up in the interior, way up north, and we were going to one of my good friends. He was in his wife's hometown, and we were up there, and we went to one of the schools, and this lady was like, well, she was an English teacher, and we came over, "Hey, how you doing? You know how to speak English?" And the lady, her eyes was as big as saucers, like, "Get these guys out of here, man! I don't know how to speak no damn English. I'm just an English teacher." So she did, oh shit, it was pretty funny. So called some of the English teacher was dead funny. She knew some basic stuff, but she didn't. She could speak nada, but our Portuguese skills, were definitely on point. But at the end of the day, it was kind of interesting, to kind of see, that you can dip around and there is money to be made, being an interpreter. And I know a lot of people go to Japan, and if you're Afro American or whatever, you're in Japan and you have excellent Japanese skills and will speak and write, you could definitely make money, being an interpreter there as well. And I know a lot of people who are making money that way there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah,
Turns you into an intelligence analyst.
Yeah.
it's
Interesting.
very, very interesting. Yeah, definitely. Especially
There's
for
another-
I was going to say,
Go right ahead and finish, and then we'll go to the question.
no, I was going to say, especially for a country whose intelligence agency prides itself on intelligence, when in fact human intelligence is the thing that they're worst at. They have the largest budget, they have the best toys, but human intelligence, no. The KGB and MI6 are much better at it than the CIA ever was.
All right, self-care boss in the chat says, "Do you all see language as a major barrier to economic progression?"
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Because, the thing is this, right? As I said earlier, and Nagom, this was before you jumped on, there is this mindset amongst a lot of black people who feel that oh, you don't have to assimilate and you don't have to, lose yourself. And it's not about assimilation, right? It's about understanding another culture and another language. Okay. And as we have spent the past, I don't know, half an hour, 45 minutes to 1 hour, clearly laying out and detailing, if you take the time to learn another language and understand another culture, it will open opportunities for you that will literally be closed door to you if you do not understand another culture and another language. So it's just business. So, again, to use my analogy again, if Nagon makes widgets, if Paulie makes widgets, we don't speak the foreign language, Mike makes widgets, there's a good chance Mike is going to get that business because that relationship, what separates three people who do the same exact thing at the same exact cost? Well, Mike can create the relationship because he speaks the language. He understands that culture. And that business mindset, checking all the emotions at the door and handling the business, that mindset is something that a majority of Black people, from my experience in America, are lacking.
The only way I could have gotten, a serious, recruiting position, to recruit literally in Brazil, in Sao Paulo, and in Rio for the Bank of Brazil was strictly because of my Portuguese skills. And I didn't have that in mind first. That fell upon me. And I was just in business. I was here and I was, doing a few things. And I called on the Bank of Brazil, to see what they had going on here in New York. And a lady by the name of Saul got on the phone and she started, I was like, yeah, then I started popping a little Portuguese with her. And then she started kicking it because, in order to work for the bank, you have to be able to speak the language. So next thing you know, we started banging back and forth. And she was like, oh, you speak Portuguese very well. I was like, yeah, I've been studying for a while, whatever. And then we got into a conversation about, their needs in South America. I said, well, I got a place on this. I could really start to recruit. And next thing you know, I was on the phone. Before I knew it, I was on the phone with the VP. And we were talking, we were banging in Portuguese. And I'd say about 4 or 5 weeks after that, I had a plane ticket purchased by them to go down there and start to recruit. And I was down there for a year. And I was making some, some very nice money with the bank. And it was live. And I never expected that was a tremendous benefit that it advanced me immensely, financially and so forth. And a lot of connections that I still roll with today. Just because of that skill, just because of learning that language, and I learned it more fun, and having a good time with it, and it turned into serious money. So I that's how that works. So yeah, there's a very powerful connection between language skills and money. It's exceedingly powerful.
What was the question that she asked? Is it barriers? What was the question?
Mike?
She asked, do you think that let me go back and read it.
Do you all see language as a major barrier to economic progression?
Okay. I mean, the thing is this: that it is a barrier, but then there's also, because I brought this up earlier, because of technology, there's just a lot of tools that brought that barrier down. So it's like, at the end of the day, if you needed to translate something, Google Translate, it's right there. So I think the barrier may be more or less just in the learning of the language, right? And with the goal and intent of being fluent in it. I mean, it's a barrier, but barriers can be overcome. I mean, that's just a thing. Learning a language is tough, but and just for business, not necessarily if you employ technology.
Yeah, I mean, technology certainly plays a role, but when you get in there, you get into a business meeting and you start, you're kicking it. It's far superior than the Google Translator. Because now people become.
Oh well, no, I'm not talking about using Google Translate to actually, use as a form of translating for like negotiation purposes or things like that. Yeah. I'm just saying that like what we have is technology that like just say you know, you come across a channel and you see somebody cooking something, but they're giving the recipe in their native language, right? And you may see it down at the bottom, and so you know you type it into the little Google Translate thing, and then it'll translate what it
Yeah.
says, right?
Yeah.
You know, but I'm saying, but the barrier that I would say is actually a legit one is in the learning, and that's for the purpose, the stated purposes that you just mentioned, for actually like dialogue, with regards to like say negotiating and things of that sort.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say that the final alternative would be going to like Telemundo or Univision and letting the closed caption letting the closed caption put it back in English.
Sabado Gigante, baby, I miss you. Come back on the air.
Reverse. Oh wow, dude.
Dude, I grew up.
It's actually a good strategy, man.
No, that's why I'm laughing, dude.
You could pick up a lot that way. A lot. Picked up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, you know, that's.
All right.
Oh, yeah, tell my cat.
No, go right ahead. I'm just gonna share my screen.
Oh, I was just gonna say, you know, as you've heard, Nagone and myself both say, immersion. All right, total immersion as best as you can. The ultimate total immersion is obviously living in the foreign country on the ground. Short of that, immerse yourself as much as possibly as you can. Buy children's books, watch videos, um, watch movies, television shows, news, sitcoms, write it, speak it. Get a program that requires you to speak the language out loud. If if you have a comfort level, um, try to interact with native speakers who speak the language. Now, if you don't live in one of the major American cities, that's going to be tough. But technology, you can use technology. There are apps you can speak to native speakers online from your home. So you literally have zero excuses, right? Instead of watching 25-hour hangouts about honey buns and guns and knives and the succubus and who's swirling and dipping and diving, you can use the internet as your resource and speak to native speakers in the foreign language that you're trying to learn.
Hey man,
Hey
but
Paul, I have a question for you.
every now and
I have
then
a
we
question
got
for
to
you,
talk about
Paul.
the succubus.
Yes,
Hey,
yes.
Every now we got to talk about the succubus.
Paul, I was going to ask you, man. All right, so what I do, and I wanted to ask you if you do this. I have a feeling that you do. So let's just say you watch a racing series, right? So let's say we watch DTM. Do you watch the English broadcast or the German?
Well, no, full disclosure. I speak German. I'm fluent, so I now watch the German feed. Um, 2 or 3 times through the email chain, I've emailed you guys um, racers or highlights. They've
Yeah.
been the German
Yep.
feed, and I've had to type. Sorry, guys, I know it's in German, but I speak German. Haha. But I try to
No.
find the English feed for you guys because I know you don't speak it. But so yeah, I actually seek out the German feed. In fact, the last one that I sent you, Nagone,
The Nikki
and
Lauda.
no, not that one. I sent you the qualifying session for the 24 hours of Nürburgring. I sent
Nürburgring.
you
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
the
yeah.
live feed, but
I
it
watched
was the
it. That
German
was a
feed.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say the reason why I asked is because see, that's what I make a habit of doing. Like in any like well, so if I watch Japanese, right? If I watch Super Formula,
Hmm.
you know, if I watch Super Formula or anything like that, Japanese karting, whatever, I watch it in Japanese.
Oh
If I'm
wow.
watching like if I watch Italian, any Italian motorsport, I watch it in Italian. German. Wherever it is, I watch it in that language. And what I find is that because I'm familiar with the language of the sport,
Hmm.
right? So the action on the track, if you took an English commentator and you took say like a German commentator, they're saying the same thing as it relates to what's happening, right?
Right.
You see, so that's kind of how, like, when you guys started talking immersion, I started thinking about that. I wanted to ask you, because that's a way of you can like organically learn the language,
like
or organically
right.
learn languages through immersion. Yeah.
Right, like I know you don't speak German, but you are a racing fan. So if you hear a German commentator say Nürburgring Grand Prix
Rennen, yeah,
Rennstrecke, you would know he's saying, "Oh, that's racetrack" in German
race,
because
race, yeah,
it's the Grand Prix racetrack. So
right,
what you're saying correlates. The German commentators are saying the same exact thing the English commentators are saying. They're just saying it in German.
German, right, right.
Yep. Or if you want, you can look at soccer. The only thing you can probably
Mm-hmm.
understand is goal.
Hey.
Oh.
Hey, I am a Manchester United fan for life, and I've been to Old Trafford in Manchester to see a game, and it's amazing. And I made quite a few helpful friends at the pubs.
Nice. But you stay away from them hooligans, don't you?
You know what? The funny thing is, you don't really find too many hooligans, but I'll say this. In England, Americans, especially a black American man, we walk on water. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. I've been over there. I've had fun. England is nice. I haven't had any problem with them with them English ladies or the English people on the whole.
I mean,
You know,
to the point of you can't even take out your money to buy yourself drinks. They're paying for everything.
they like the way
Yeah,
And I'm gonna say this. People don't like this. I'm gonna say it.
say it.
Your man Obama, when he
Say-
became president, he rolled through Europe. Sorry, he opened up a lot of doors. Sorry to say it. Sorry to say to you haters out there, to you haters. Obama put us on.
Can you please speak on that, Nagon? Like, people don't understand like what Obama did for black men internationally.
Oh man, you are terribly on. Terribly on. You
bro,
are terribly on. You
bro.
are like, all right. These brothers, they've made it. They're up in here. They've made it. When you run America, you're up to it. Now. Not to say that they're not racist. Not to say you don't have racism out there, because there's plenty of that. But you are on. It's not like folks are there like, get them out of here. I don't want to deal with these. Certain very poor and depressed parts of Europe, you may have some issues. But when you go to the main spots in Europe, you ain't gonna have that many problems, man. Obama's helped you. He's opened the doors for you, man. He has helped you. Folks can say what they want. He has done that.
Bro, check this out.
Especially for the internationally traveling brother. I'm not
Bro, I am treated
you
100% better
know.
and differently as a black man in Germany than in America. In
Yeah.
England, Spain, Germany, France, and a little quick visit to Holland, which
Yeah.
and you would think, because for some reason when I tell American black people, they say, Germany, what the hell are you going there for? Damn, it's Hitler, swastika, this. I'm like, no, have you been? Okay, until you go there and you get treated like you walk on water. Okay, even on casual daily levels, it's night and day. So you go to Germany, and you would ask yourself, why do I want to go back to America to be treated like that? No, I'm good.
I've heard that many times from many black men who've gone to Germany. They all say the same exact thing. So
That's
some
why.
validity
That's
to it.
why I have a place in Cologne, which is where I have relocated to. Don't plan on coming back to America for several more months.
You tell some of
Yeah,
these brothers
see.
in the manosphere about clone, they think you're talking about perfume and shit like that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, we are not. You get a lot of love outside. Here, this country is negative. You got a lot of negative motivation, very hateful, very angry, nasty people, who are
Pale
fucked
face
up.
reptiles,
You got the pale face reptiles are running
albinos.
out here running like crazy. And so don't, that's why I say internationally, you have to look at international. That's why more international eyes consistently need to be put here to put these guys back in their place, because these guys are, many of these people here are fucking savages, and they have to be perceived as what they are. You have to understand, with all these police killings and everything else like that was going on here in this country, people outside of the United States was looking at this like, what's wrong with you people? What's going on?
Oh, which is another thing. Which is
What's
another thing.
wrong? But you will have a Negro here in this country saying, well, he deserved it. He was doing something wrong and he had to change it. I mean, you'll have ill shit like this going on. So you have to understand, getting away from the international game hurts us. International eyes have always helped us. So we always have to think in those terms. I know it's hard for many of us to do that, but if you study history very closely, you'll see that this is absolutely true. Go ahead, Ro.
You have to get outside of the black box. Okay, turn off Fox Snooze and MSNBC and CNN and all the others, the crack news network, beige entertainment television. Turn all that nonsense off. Buy a passport. Travel to the other side of the world and see media and see cultures from an unfiltered, unbiased point of view with your own eyes on the ground. And everything that you think you know from what you see on the media here, you know what? You're going to say, wow, in America, you're actually being lied to completely, top to bottom. People get on, you name the name, get on the 7 o'clock news, the 24-hour news, and they're blatantly lying to you. At the very least, spinning everything. Get on a plane, see it for yourself. Then come back and talk to me.
When America wants to talk about Germany, they always talk about it from the position of 1945. It's interesting how the media tries to spin all this.
Bro, and that is it is to the point where,
well, it's to a certain extent that they want to spin.
Hello? Yeah,
I can hear you, Paul.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go
okay.
ahead.
It is to the point where there are numerous memorials around the country, and they're saying, listen, we will never forget what led to fascism, because the state of the country that led to fascism is what brought us Hitler and what brought us the war. Never forget that, and that's never going to let that happen again. Once you leave that conversation alone, the country is nothing like that. So far removed from that, and it's bro, it is night and day from what the country was from 1929 to 1945. Night and day. But unless you've been on the ground to see it for yourself over a period of years, you know what? You're going to tune me out. Even though I'm on the ground, you won't. You're gonna tune me out.
All right, let me get to the piece about the cultural intelligence aspect and why learning a second language and traveling actually is a part of cultural intelligence. So, a person's capability for successful adaptation to new culture or unfamiliar settings is part of cultural intelligence. Focus on developing cross-natural or cross-cultural agility, more social awareness. Three key parts of it: cultural strategic thinking, what you think and how you solve problems; motivation, energized and persistent actions; behavior, adaptive actions and behaviors. So, um, going back over that one bullet, a person's capability for successful adaptation to new cultural or unfamiliar settings. So, I think that's the most critical piece here um, when it comes to linguistics. So, the ability to adapt. A lot of Negroes can't adapt, even to the manosphere, even to social media. They can't adapt. They can cook people. They can they're the greatest of all topics, but they dare not step over here. They dare not step over here. You get ran over real fast because cats IQ CQ and EQ is it's up there like that. So generally thought to be evolved with time and life experiences, has been historically used to sustain relationships in social group acceptance. So that's what language actually offers there. Um, Allows development of in-group knowledge and acceptance. That's where language comes in again. Enables development of declarative knowledge or knowledge about the state of things. Again, language comes in again. If you can't speak the language, you can't communicate with people on the ground. You have no idea what the fuck is going on. Valued as strategic competitive advantage for building mutual beneficial relationships. Again, language comes in again. It's a part of cultural intelligence. You can jump in.
Yeah. I would have to say, yeah, all that's all. You've got to. I mean, it's important. I mean, you see people that come here to this country and they don't speak any English at all. They can go in their interactions with people. They're limited, and it's limited to what they can make. You have other people here who speak English or they speak their tongue and they're doing business in their community. They're doing business here, and they're definitely more effective. And that's just fundamental. That is fundamental. So we have to talk. We really have to talk about that. I mean, a lot of our American parochialism. We live in such a large country. The country's so big. You can get in an aircraft, fly free. Close to do such.
Hey, Nagone, I don't know if it's me or you, but you're breaking up.
Yeah, he's breaking up on my end too. Yeah.
Complex, if you want to jump in, go right ahead.
Well, Mike, what did you tail off on? Because I did have a point, but what was it that you had tailed off on with regards to what you were speaking to?
Cultural intelligence piece. So basically, valued as a strategic competitive advantage for building mutual beneficial relationships. So
remember when we talked about like data mining humans,
Yep.
like human intelligence gathering stuff like that.
Yeah, speak to that.
Those are yeah. I mean those are like cognitive abilities that you develop. That enables you, like if you work towards cultivating that skill, and then do a lot of the other things that we were talking about, like language immersion, cultural immersion, and then getting like an app-based language tool. All of these things together, like would really put you on the path of becoming like sort of like a polyglot in a lot of ways. I myself, I myself aim to do a lot of these things. Now, I do some of what we talked about. I do the immersion thing, like you heard Paul and I just speaking to, like, if you immerse yourself in the language, but let's just say you relate it to something that you have a keen interest and passion in. So again, Paul and I, we're motorsport junkies. Okay. See, so I don't necessarily have to know the language in order to understand the race and what's going on. Their commentary is more, it's an immersion backdrop. It really actually plays on my subconscious. I'm not really listening to them, but what I am doing is I'm watching what's going on because I'm keenly into it. And then I'm listening to what's being said. And like what Paul said, after some time, you start to correlate the words with the actions. So those things are things that I practice. The other piece is, go ahead, Mike.
No, I'll go after you.
Oh, okay. And then I was going to say the other thing is the intelligence gathering piece or the data mining, right? See, so Mike and I had referenced in a prior conversation, being able to say, if you talk to someone and they have an accent, being able to say, hey, what are you, Croatian, or are you, what is that, Estonian, Bulgarian? Like being able to pinpoint, knowing based on like say like how they look physically, listening to the language, like are they giving you is it a European accent that they have? Are they giving it an Arabic? Is it, or is there English? Does it have an Arabic tinge? Does it have a European tinge? And then you look at, say, how they look as a person. Where can you where can you face place them on a map, right? Are they, French? Are they Swiss, perhaps? Or in, in the region that where the two converge. So that's the data mining portion of it. Now, for me, I need to focus more on the actual, say, linguistic repetition and the practice of it. That's where the tech comes in. So I think for me, that's where like the last piece that I need to do. But putting all of those together, that's really what would like set you on your way.
Hello, Mike.
Yeah, go right ahead, Paul.
Um,
No, I
I
thought we thought you had something to say.
yeah. We were waiting on you.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say that when it comes to racing, man, the only thing that matters to me is the exhaust note. I
Listen,
can listen to Porsche GT3 race up and down the track all day
Oh my
long.
God, man. Oh man. Dude, on the Monza, dude, on the backstretch. Man, because like all that stuff echoes through there, man. Every time I hear like a Ferrari like just scream through there, dude, like that wail is just like it's insane, man.
the parabolica. The parabolica is the fastest right-hand turn in the
The
world.
parabolica, yep, onto the front straight, yep.
Yes, the 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 Schwedenkreuz at the Nürburgring is the fastest left-handed turn. So, Mike, listen, um, few few words you need to learn.
Talking my language. Talking my language.
Rennen
Sorry.
or Renn means race. Rennen means racing. Strecke means track. Rechts means right. Links means left. So you got left, right, track. That's all you need to know. And of course, your favorite word, Achtung.
And in German, Feuer means fire. Go ahead.
Feuer und Blut. Fire and blood for all you Game of Thrones fans out there. But you know, bringing it back to a more serious note, as we talk to the cultural IQ and the cultural intelligence piece, it is definitely not in American culture. So it is clearly not also in Black American culture because a lot of Black people, for some reason, seem to feel that they are not a part of American culture. The average or typical European typically speaks between 3 to 5 languages because there are so many countries, except for England, but there are so many countries in Scandinavia. There's so many countries that literally border each other and they move and travel between the countries. So the typical European speaks between 3 to 5 languages. The typical American speaks one. The typical American, did you know that 80 to 85% of all US citizens don't own a passport and they will never leave this country in their entire lifetime? Okay, so it is
Oh, yeah.
not, it's I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yeah, I agree with you.
So the the culture is not going to change. So, you don't hear me personally talk about that. I've accepted that. That's where I'm clear on. So as an individual, you should you should change your mindset and become multicultural, multilingual, get your passport, travel to foreign countries. Okay, travel
Tis
to
tis
Europe.
Paul, you just said the wrong word.
I am an listen, I'm an
It's gonna get
individual.
that individual word. It's gonna get you in trouble, bro.
I know it will, but you know what? Listen, pro wax and slow taps don't like me, but it is what it is. I am an individual. I looked for happiness where happiness looked for me, and I found it. All right, so you know, travel to Europe, travel to Asia, travel to Scandinavia, travel to Africa, travel to the Arab region, travel to the South Pacific. There are Black American men who are living and speaking in Korea, all right? Korea and Thailand, the Philippines, Germany. I haven't heard of any in Scandinavia, probably because it's so damn cold, but you know what, bro, I have met Black Russians. One parent is African, other parent is Russian. They're born in Russia and they speak fluent Russian. Okay? So there is no reason there are global opportunities for you everywhere. But you know what? If you want a mean mug and have honey buns on your counter behind you and talk about the succubus and how select you are, then you know what? You're never going to go anywhere because if your mindset is stuck inside of that black box, that's where you will be for the rest of your life. So when you stay inside the
I was
black
gonna say
box,
there's no global position for that, man.
no, there isn't. There absolutely isn't, and there's no excuse. Unless unless 10 to 15 years from now, dudes are going to be on the dark side of the moon with 25 packs of Mars state honey buns on their rack, talking about how select they are. How many yards they can jump across the surface of the moon or something because they're that select. I mean, where does the madness end?
It probably ends with their buns being honey. But but yeah, I think these are just my closing thoughts, man. Get your passport, man. Spend that $200 on it. Real ID, get your real ID as well. You don't need a passport to travel, as long as you got your real ID. Um, and within the United States. But for international game, got to get that passport. Make sure that selfie, that passport shot is nice and clean. You look crisp on it. Um, and yeah, pick up that second language, man. At least bare minimum, know how to say hello and goodbye and thank you and you're welcome. Closing thoughts,
Agreed.
Paul.
Hallo, danke, auf Wiedersehen.
Hmm.
I just really
Um,
quickly
go
like
ahead.
to address self-care boss in the chat says 80%. Wow. Yes, correct. And I got that number from I want to say either the Department of State or the Department of Homeland Security. Either one of them. It's on a government website. 80 to 85% of American citizens do not own a passport. 85% will live their entire life and never leave the United States of America. And you wonder why Americans are so insular. But if you are insular and you never leave this country, you don't realize how insular you truly are because all you ever see is the tiny small box that you live in. Once you leave this country and you see how this world actually works, it changes your entire perspective and it changes your thought process. And then the last thing you want to do is to be a reptile eating fried chicken skins.
You
Hmm.
don't want to do that, you know. And if you are
No,
gonna
you
do
said
that, if you are gonna Go ahead, Mike.
No, you said insular, but I wasn't sure if you meant incel.
Inseller.
Well, what I find
Inseller.
interesting is exactly 15% of Americans have passports. So he's exactly right. 15%. All right. Only really, I mean, you look at most of the people who have passports. You're looking at maybe about 7 to 10% of people really travel. And that's terrible. Most people that haven't really even been out far outside of their own city, let alone going to another country. So we are very, very, very parochial, very, very local in our thinking. I was on a hangout one time. I saw this one brother who was screaming about, what y'all talking about Africa and this, that, and the other, and the third. And then the question came up to him, did you have a passport? He said, no, he doesn't have a passport. He never traveled anywhere. But yet here he is screaming about what he knows about Africa and never been anywhere. I mean, you see highly ridiculous types of exchanges like this here on a regular, consistent basis. But this is what we deal with. And I sit back, I don't even argue with it now. Today, I don't even argue with that kind of stuff because it's that crazy. But for those who do travel and understand, they know a different side of the game. So it's not shame or embarrass anybody into not doing it, but that's something that we should be looking to engage in a lot more. It only helps us. It doesn't hurt
I
us.
have some more
It only
numbers for
helps us
you. Brother.
economically, politically, socially, and spiritually as well. All right. Anyway, go ahead.
I have some more numbers for you. Um, again, these are numbers I got from the U.S. government. This year in 2019, 5% of Americans traveled to the other side of the planet.
5%. That's what I said.
5%.
No.
3% of Americans travel to Asia and the South Pacific. So, if 80% of Americans don't own passports, that means only 20% own passports. And of that 20%, only 5% travel to the other side of the planet. What's on this side of the planet? America, North and South America. That's it. So Europe, Asia, Africa, South Pacific, Russia, people are not going there. Americans are not going there. So from my trip, when I actually trips, I've been there 3 times for vacation to the Great Pyramids in Egypt. All 3 times, only piece of pepper up in the pot.
And I need to go there because that's a spot that I really want to go to, and that's definitely on my travel itinerary. But I had to say, back in early, in the early to mid '90s, um, I was having some issues in the whole marriage thing, and we had broke up for a good while. And man, I went to Russia, and I went to
Mm.
rolled all through. I hit Germany and all that, but I was in Russia primarily, and I was there. Then I ended up going to Denmark and then Sweden and Copenhagen. I mean, I was rolling all through there, and man, I got to tell you that shit was crazy. So I was like, wow, I didn't really know. Some kids from my karate class had gone there, and they were like, you got to go, and I went on my own, it was it changed me. It changed my life. So I'm just saying, these travel is going to change you. It's going to. You ain't going to be the same person once you start traveling around. You just aren't.
No,
You
sir.
know.
Look, man, you got people out here. You got people out here in SoCal, man. Like especially like black folks, like in the hoods and shit. Born and raised, man. Never been to the beach.
Yeah, they don't
Right.
go outside.
Wow.
They got to go outside the hood.
Never been to the damn beach, man. It's like,
Wow.
and when I say that, I'm like, look, that's like it's like a ritualistic thing for my daughter and I. We're beach bums. Like we stay at
Right.
the beach. And like, the thing about it is that there's something in the mind that you have to process. Like, okay, I'm literally standing on like the edge of the continent. Like, every time I go to the beach, do I like standing, I'm just like, damn, I'm on the edge of the continent right now. Huh. This is
The
it right
edge
here.
of the continent. What is it? What is it? A flat Earth society?
No, I'm literally on the edge of the continent.
The
Like right,
Earth,
that's where the land ends and the water and the water begins.
the
I'm on
Earth is
like right at the
So
flat.
what
Pacific
happens if you
Ocean.
keep going?
The The
So what
Earth
happens
is
if you
Uh-huh.
keep
flat
going?
and it's
I
surrounded
don't know.
by
Maybe
the ice
you
wall.
know what, Mike? I see what you're trying to do, and I'm and I'm not. You're not gonna do it. You're not gonna do it.
You have any closing thoughts, Complex?
Shit. Just to use that beach reference. I mean, so you know, if you're from the hood, never even been to the beach. I mean, God knows like what you're missing if you haven't gone out into the world. Now, me personally, I've been out of the country, but not out of the continent. So I've been to Mexico plenty of times, been to Canada a few times, you know, I've been to many states. But you know, there's a passion that drives me to like want to see the world because I need to see all of the great racetracks of the world before I check out of here. That's on the bucket list. So, you know, like there's a passion behind the intent to do that. You know, and
There's over
I would say
70
that
racetracks that have been abandoned.
you said,
Brooklands in England.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That amazing banked track. I would love to see racing on the Brooklands track, but it was closed.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Finish Complex.
No, I mean, so you know, I would say that just like you know, use a passion as like you know the reason why you know you're gonna grab a passport and you know get on out of here and see the world.
Hmm. Nicole, you had something you want to add?
Oh no, I think this is a pretty good conversation. I think I've said pretty much what I want. I mean, I'm like a broken record. You know, really believe in travel. I've been really trying to get people into this for the better part of over a quarter of a century, 25 years, and I've run into just a lot of resistance, and you know, the American is resistant to some of this. There's a fear, and there's an arrogance that you don't have to go anywhere, and all that because we have such a big country. People feel like they don't need to go anywhere else. But the American mindset, in my view, is bereft of certain aspects
Mm-hmm.
of of understanding what living's about. I'm always of the mindset now, to tell some of these young people, don't get too caught up in the American dream. It's a nightmare to a large extent. Develop your life, develop yourself, develop your intelligence, develop your education, get around the world and travel around a lot more. I think that's actually a lot more valuable than tying yourself to a mortgage and being a wage slave and dealing with some battle axe after some years and sitting back tied down and fighting and in warfare and bringing you to an early doom. I have a lot of questions about that. I'm starting to question and our lack of spiritual nature here that we have no understanding about. But you go to other countries, other places, they seem to understand us a little bit better. So I'm having some
Mm-hmm.
questions about some of this. So so yeah, I think travel and these kind of things are essential in many respects to a good life, to in many respects to your longevity, to your survival. I really believe in that. On many different levels. But anyway, that's it.
You, you know, when I when I touched down in Cologne International Airport and I get off the Lufthansa flight, if it's a 777 or a 747, we going through customs. Plane is full, so we're talking close to 400 people. And you look at the line for German citizens with German passports, and you look at foreigners. Since we're coming from New York City, bro, if there's 30 people going to that foreigner foreign passport line, that's a lot. When I touched down, when I every time I would travel, when I would travel and vacation back and forth, touching down in JFK, getting off the 747 at JFK, going through customs. I'm breezing through. Why? Because you got 350 to 400 people going through customs. Maybe 20, 30 American passports. I breeze right on through. Americans do not travel. I just gave you the numbers. I just gave you the stats. Anyone can easily verify what I just said. A little simple research, a few keystrokes. Americans do not travel, and even fewer still travel to the other side of the planet.
Hmm. Yeah, like I was saying in the beginning of the hangout, you know, you got to leverage your travel opportunities with business and solidarity opportunities as well. Linking up with like-minded people on the ground in other places is going to open up opportunities for you to do business and by and also by creating solidarity networks across different continents. The ability to talk with people in Palestine and open up opportunities for to go out to travel throughout the Middle East. I got one of my coworkers is from Syria, he's from Damascus, and he and I have had long conversations over lunch and whatnot. And he's a millennial himself, and he speaks three different languages. He speaks French, speaks Arabic, speaks English, very fluent, and and he's in cybersecurity. He makes very well. He's paid very well for what he does, and he's had agencies approach him about being language interpreter as well. Um, and he's down for the cause. Definitely down for the cause. Doesn't like occupation of oppressive powers, and it still manages to travel. He definitely has a good head on his shoulders, but linking up with him has opened up opportunities for me to be able to go back and forth between those places if I need be, or or some of my contacts that I've met in for Singapore, and for some of the work that I do in IT. I have contacts in China. I have contacts in Vietnam and Hanoi, who have said, anytime you want to come through, you can come through. Just let me know. So
Yeah, and Mike, you bring up a really great point. Really just talk about making these connections. Because see, this is what some of the power brokers here don't want you to have. They don't want you to link up with these people because that means that empowers you. They don't want you to do that. Um, and they don't want you to do that because ultimately it's a threat to their power the way they see it. So and it's just young people. They don't want young people linking up like that. It's just so if that's what they don't want you to do, that's what we should be doing because there's something very strong in that, and that's what we have to think about. So our international connect is critical. It's critical. Will you agree, Paul? Paul, wouldn't you agree with that?
1000%. I have a friend of mine who lives, I have two friends who live in Australia. Their winter is starting now. Their seasons are opposite to what's in America. So America is starting summertime now. In fact, the northern hemisphere is starting summertime now. The southern hemisphere, at least in Australia, they're starting winter now. They're getting snow in certain parts of the country already. Okay, so
wow,
they've been asking me to come down there and visit them for like 3 years now. I have two friends who live in South Africa, and they're white. They're my friends. I just say that to say that just don't believe the hype just because white South African they're a devil. No, you have to meet people. You have to network with people and meet with and develop these contacts. You know, um, so travel.
coincidentally,
Yes,
no, I was just going to say coincidentally, Elon Musk is South African.
Elon Musk is South African. Yes, he is.
Hmm.
So listen, if there's anything that I learned, from
Hmm.
international travel, and international banking and finance, money knows no color. Money does not care what color you are. All money cares about one thing: being around more money. That's it.
Hmm.
That's it. So, that mindset, check the emotions at the door, conduct business. Travel for vacation, yes. Also, travel for business. learn another language, broaden your mind. The benefits are endless. You will change your
Mhm.
perspective, you will elevate your thinking, and you could potentially do business. Nagone laid out to you how on a social trip he created a business opportunity because he spoke the native language. What more do you need to know? Me personally, I don't need to hear anything else besides the fact that I have travels and speak more than one language. So you're preaching to the choir, and I myself, um, as someone who's older than me, a little bit older than me, who came before me, who has traveled roads and paths I have not been yet. Okay, I listen to what Nagone has to say because that's only going to benefit and enrich me. I can learn from his experience. All right, but too often, too many people, they think they know it all.
You know what's interesting is that for a lot of black men who have never traveled outside the country, they barely have a grasp on the English language, which is a shame.
You know what's funny? Mike, Mike, that's damn funny what you're saying. But there's so much truth to that statement because the more you study a foreign language and the better you understand it, the more you learn English. I remember we used to laugh when we were in junior high school. You were like, I learned more English and Spanish than I learned in English class. And it's really funny because you have to be able to speak correct English. And when you learn how to speak it and write it and so forth, you have to understand how that translates to another language. So there's a lot of truth to what you're saying. That's pretty funny, but that's so true. That's pretty funny but
Bro,
true.
I have been told since I was a little boy, you talk white, you sound white, you like all that white people stuff. Who you think you better than me because you talk white? So, because I speak clear, coherent English in an English speaking country, I'm speaking white. So, what language do you speak? Idiot? How does that work
What you be talking
exactly?
about?
Exactly. Exactly, bro. I mean, it is mind-boggling. The fuckery and the buffoonery never ends. It's like at some point, this mindset was sold to black people that no, speaking clear, coherent English is talking white, and you can't be white because that's a bad thing. You know, the way you express yourself is how others will interact with you. If you come across as a mindless buffoon and a moron, you will be treated and judged as such. So
Well,
do
well
not get mad. Yeah, go,
it's
go. Yeah.
cultural. It's cultural because they think if you sound white, then that's how you think. You think white, then you sound white, and then that's how you operate. And that's the whole idea behind that. Um,
Bro,
so
I had a
you know, go ahead,
I
Mike.
had a
I'm sorry.
female. No, I had a female text me of, she wanted to spell OF for short as OV.
huh? I can't even
That's
deal.
how she spelled of.
Bro, I can't even I can't. My
Mm,
mind
well,
cannot process on those levels. I'm incapable of thinking down to that level. I
that's
just am.
hilarious.
I can't. It's like honestly, bro. I look. See this. This might get this video flagged, but I look at the majority of Black American people and I'm like, who are you
No,
savaging?
no, 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 Paul. We're not gonna go there. We're gonna have a good night.
Sorry, gentlemen.